Hello, everyone. Welcome to SharePoint Power Hour. I'm Laura Rogers, and this is Power Hour. What we cover in SharePoint Power Hour every week is things that you can do in SharePoint and online or on premises without having to write any code or do anything super technical. So SharePoint Power Hour is every Wednesday at 11 Central. I've been playing around with my audio and video settings some more. If you guys have been following this, you probably noticed that we've been, I've been trying things with this green screen. It's a lot of fun. And I've been trying things with all these different types of audio and video software. Hopefully you can hear me. So let me know in the Power Hour channel in Slack. And hopefully you guys can hear me because I changed some things around. I noticed recently that when I was watching the recordings later that were on YouTube, that there was a little bit of a delay in between my voice and the picture, and the video and the audio. So I figured it's probably because I was running the video through this other software called XSplit Broadcaster, and the audio was going through the Google Hangout. So thanks, guys. I'm glad you can hear me. So there was a little bit of difference in just, they weren't really synced up. So what I did was I noticed that, I was like, I'll just go in the Google Hangout and tell it to use the XSplit Broadcaster for the audio and the video. Well, the Google Hangout doesn't have XSplit Broadcaster as an option. So I use this other software called Minicam because it was an option in there. So now I've got the XSplit Broadcaster running and the Minicam running, and everything in the Google Hangout is going through Minicam now. So, and it got all these different software running. So I've got Google Hangout running, XSplit Broadcaster, and Minicam. So hopefully my computer won't explode. And I'm glad you all came today. Again, I'm Laura Rogers, and sometimes we have Corey Emmons joining. He says he's been trying to join the Hangout, but it just shows a picture of his face, and I can't hear him or anything like that. So maybe he's going to be working on that while I'm talking. But I'm going to go ahead and choose Corey in the Google Hangout. I went ahead and chose present to everyone. I think that makes it so that my video expands and fills up the whole screen instead of having the little panel at the bottom with his face. You guys kind of give me a confirmation that you don't see that extra little panel at the bottom with other people's faces. So, because I think that helps with just the way the video is rendering. Now we'll see if going through this extra software now, hopefully the dimensions and everything are going to be correct. Another real quick housekeeping thing is I usually have to change the display settings on my monitor that I'm sharing so that it's better for watching on the YouTube later. So 1280 by 720. So I'm doing that now because we have a fun workflow demo to do today. So I put, first of all, I wrote a blog post where I put a little survey out there with a whole bunch of lists, just a list of a whole bunch of possible Power Hour topics. And these are ones that I've thought of off the top of my head, and these are ones that you guys have suggested, and just over time, and I asked for suggestions. So I just put them all in the survey. So I can, so from that survey, then I went ahead and just took the top ones, I don't know, it was like 8 or so, and took those and then created a schedule of all the Power Hours. So wonderlaura.com is my blog, and that's where the schedule now is. And so today's topic was the most popular one in the survey, and it is advanced workflows. Now, when you think of advanced workflows, though, it's going to be, the concept of advanced is going to be different for different people. So advanced to someone who's just beginning with workflows is going to be like maybe something other than an out-of-the-box workflow might be advanced to them. And then advanced to somebody who's been using workflows for 5 years might be all kinds of crazy stuff with web services. So I'm not going to do the web service calls and the dictionaries and things in this one. I'm sorry, that's way too complicated. I've been delving into that a whole bunch lately. That's way too complicated to be able to cover in a power hour. It's just, I would have to sit down and figure out like the correct way to order that and the correct way to explain it. And that's going to be very time consuming. It's not going to be something that I can just whip up and do in power hour. But I am going to do some advanced functionality and advanced, things with variables and things like that for you guys today. How is it with the audio and video? Is it seem like it's synced up and it's fairly clear and all that? My children picked this background today. So, well, no, let me show you the background that my children actually picked. It was this one. So at first they were trying to pick pictures of ponies and My Little Ponies and things like that. And because I told them they could pick a background, so we kind of compromised and we picked the one with the stars on it. So that was their little contribution. They're home for the summer, so they're kind of around here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now.
Hi, everyone.
And we're gonna delve into what we're doing with this workflow, advanced workflow today. So I created a couple of pretty simple lists in my SharePoint site. I created a list of products, which it's just got very simple, in the real world, you'd have a name and a description and stuff like that. I'm gonna do like, see what kind of silly products can I do in here? I can do grocery stuff. Feel free to chime in anytime. That's why we have our Slack channel. The description, the link to the Slack channel and everything is in the description of this YouTube video. By the way, if you guys want to join in the fun and the discussion, so I'm going to say Fred. And actually, let's do this as like office supplies. So I'll just do pencils and stuff like that. Big pack of pencils for $5. And so we're going to do some pencils, some paper, some, let's see, letterhead. There's going to be stuff that you might have in an office that you need to order. So I just put a few things in here. That's going to be good enough for the demo. And then the concept is going to be that employees are going to be able to go purchase these products from just a little company store, and you're going to be able to have the workflow calculate the cost. And so we can even do an approval process so that when people need to purchase these products, it needs to go through an approval. Now, what we can even do is change something with the cost so that like things that are more expensive have to go through different approvals. So let's do something like a desk. If I want to buy an entire desk.
Hey, Laura, can you hear me?
$1,000. Or if I want to buy a
Nope.
sound and video is not enjoying sharing bandwidth. Does it sound bad? Because some people said it. Oh, it just degraded. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I didn't do anything different. I'm not sure what that is. That's awesome. You can hear Corey. I can't hear Corey. Corey's not even in there. Okay, Corey, just stay out. I don't know what's going on. You could just stay in the chat window, I guess. All right, so a desk and let's see. Oh, the sound went bad when I shared my screen. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's see if that makes a difference. How would that change? Huh. That's really interesting. Okay, let me see. How would sound change when I share my screen? Okay, so stop sharing my screen, but you know what I can do is I can just use the Google Hangout to share my screen using that, and then not worry about the whole XLab broadcaster thing. Oh, there's Corey.
Hi.
All right, hold on real quick.
Yeah, Laura, I don't know what's going on with your internet connection.
This is so frustrating. I had it all working. I spent like an hour before I got on here getting it all working, and then everything goes wrong when I share my screen. All right, I'm just going to share my screen using the Google Hangouts. And I'm going to use my regular mic directly in the Google Hangout and just share my screen.
She's much better now.
All right.
Much better.
You guys see my screen? Okay. Woohoo! God, every single time it's something, huh? And I try to spend so much time getting all this just right. And it all goes bad when I share my screen. Okay. So we've got our list of products. I'm going to put a couple of expensive products in here, like you want to buy a desk or a desk chair. And that's going to be like, I don't know, $500. So we can do some fancy stuff in the workflow that we're going to build with, no, you're right. I can't hear you, Corey. I don't know why.
I don't know.
And it's because I have my microphone and stuff going through, let me see, there we go. Maybe that changes it. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Woohoo!
Okay. But there's probably an echo for them. I'm not sure. So
I don't hear one. They might, but who knows?
Yeah, you guys tell us if you hear an echo. Fun stuff. Okay, so over to SharePoint Designer. The idea here is that we're going to have a workflow when somebody purchases a product. If the cost is over a certain amount for total, then it's going to kick off a certain workflow. So your workflow is going to go through maybe one person. If you have to, below a certain amount, and it's going to have to go through two people if it's over another certain amount. So let's go get that created real quick. So SharePoint Designer, and I'm going to create the workflow on the purchase product list. So new product purchased. This is a 2013 workflow. So this is sort of part of the advanced part of this class, is that I'm not introducing anything basic like what a workflow is or what all this stuff is. I'm just diving right in and I'm going to start building it. So first of all, we're going to do an approval. So let's do task like that. And it's going to be assign a task. Now, my little... Yeah, well, Ariel, that's an interesting one. Hey, Ariel, good to see you. That one is about them not being available. There isn't really a way to know using SharePoint, using a workflow, if somebody's not available. So I'm not going to be able to delve into that because that usually requires a third-party product like Nintex, or it requires you just having a SharePoint group. And if somebody goes out of town, you just put somebody else in the group instead, and that way it could be variable. But there isn't a way to know like their instant messaging status or anything using a SharePoint Designer workflow, unfortunately. So I'm going to use assign a task, because unfortunately when I use start a task process in here, it is going to create one task process that can have multiple approvers. But the thing I hate about the start a task process is that it's exactly the same for every approver, and there's just one outcome at the end of all the approvers, and there's no way to have any kind of different verbiage for different approvers or customize what exactly it does when different people reject it, approve versus reject and things like that. So I like just doing the assign a task action, and that way it assigns one task at a time, and then I can control a lot more things about it. So first of all, you may have noticed that when we assign a task, it doesn't give you the ability to have like a +2 days or anything like you used to get in the out-of-the-box workflows. So I'm going to do something, specific around that. But let's see, I'm just going to I like to do SharePoint groups for all these instead of hard coding people's names into here. And just an important thing, so I'll do the due date in a minute, but an important thing about tasks is about anything you're doing in a workflow is you're going to see the little ellipsis next to the function button in a lot of places. So the ellipsis is, you can combine fields and freeform text or multiple fields together. And a function button is just going to let you be able to pick one thing, like the value of one of your fields or the value of one variable. But I like to do this little ellipsis because then I can make it have all the different stuff that I want to. So I can have approval and then the name of the, let's see, the name of the product that they pick or something like that. And then I can even put, this is stuff about this approval process. Have my description, but I can also combine text and fields from the list in here as well. All right, and then task actions. I can choose not to wait for task completion, which I think is awesome. And then I can say whether I want an email to go. I'm actually not going to have an email go because I don't have, well, actually I could, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time like going back and forth to my email to check what those look like. I'm going to spend most of my time in the workflow. And then I can have my outcome options. So I'll tell you, I'm going to show you now how to customize the due date and outcome options. So I can, so for what if I want to have just, that concept of having, as soon as a task gets assigned, you have 1 or 2 days or a certain number of days to be able to complete that task. So I can do that. I can say, I use this add time to date. So I'm going to add 2 days to what? And basically now. So I'm going to do, since this is based on the, it's based on the created field, or the created and modified are going to have the same value in them right now. I could also have it be based on the workflow context of, ooh, no. In 2013, you don't have like when the workflow was started in here for this, in the workflow context. So I'm just going to do current item modified. So that's going to be 2 days from now, and it gives me a variable. I'm going to rename it and call it due date. So then in my task that I'm assigning, I can say my due date is going to be my variable called due date. And I'm going a little fast through all this, guys, because just because, this is a recording and you guys can watch it later if you want to, and you can pause it and things like that as you're going. All right, then I can also customize my outcomes as well. And I can make it so that I have different outcomes. Like I created one called Laura outcome, and the options are awesome or nah. So I have to double check that one's like it says. I have to make sure that it's a content type in my list, and I'll go show you how I did that too as well. All right, I'll do that real quick. So we have content type. This outcome thing is a content type. It's a site column. It's really weird the way it works, but I created that at the top level of my site collection. I created a content type by using the workflow task content type as a template. So we'll just create one real quick. All right, and this one's going to be what kind of, do you guys ever have any outcomes besides approve and reject, or might just type test outcome. And then the important part is that I need to have the workflow task SharePoint 2013. That's going to be my parent content type. That's really important. Okay. So, all right, so it's putting in the custom content. Let me show you where I go next. So once I've created the content type, then to actually have the different types of options, I have to create a new task outcome column in here. So I have to say like test outcome like that. And I have to create it as a task outcome, see? So that is what's going to magically make it show in my workflow. So that's when, this is where I type yay or nay. So whatever, whatever I want, my silly little custom, usually it's just approve and reject. So this is not something that I have to do that often. So then I'd have to go refresh my workflow so that it sees whatever I've done over here. And wait for it to refresh. And then when it does, it should give me the new outcome. Now, the important thing about, so this task list on this site is then going to need to have that outcome in it, that content type in it. So I need to go, that's what it was warning me about when I was picking another content type. So I need to go to the workflow task list where these are getting created. I'm pretty sure it's, which one? I never know off the top of my head which one it is. I guess I could just go look and see where they get created, but I could just do that. That would be the easy way. Let's see, workflow tasks. Oh yeah, Mary tasks. So that was a custom one that I did for another demo. So all I have to do is, instead of messing with this and changing it, I can just go to my Mary tasks list just real quick, and then make sure and add that new content type. Mary tasks is going to be down in my subsite. All right. Okay, down in my project subsite, I've got Mary tasks, and I have to add my new custom content type to it. So list settings, content types, add from existing content type. You didn't know you were going to be doing all this stuff with content types with a workflow, right? So this is the test outcome one that I just created. And so the task list that the workflow is pointing to, that's the one that has to have this new content type that I created. So now I'm going to go edit my workflow again and go to my, so I already did those. Okay. And then go to my test outcome here. Make sure the content types apply to the workflow's task list. Yes. Test outcome. And then we can say yay or nay. Cool. All right. So that's how we did a variable for the due dates. And then for the emails, you can customize, of course, what the email is going to look like when people have an overdue task. You can put whatever other fields you want to put in it. You can say how often they're going to get an overdue notice, etc. And then what needs to happen, though, after? So I'm going to say first approval. So then you're going to have an outcome. So this is going to be your outcome variable. That's going to be whether it's yay or nay, or 0 or 1 is really what it is. And you guys, again, feel free to ask questions as we go. Okay, so the way I can make it do something different according to what the outcome is by using a transition. So I can say second. Now I haven't done any of the fanciness with kind of the stuff I was mentioning, like, you know, based on the currency, based on the value and stuff like that. But I'm just building some just basic stuff in here first, just to get the foundation sort of in place. And then I can go if, and I'm going to use that outcome that I just created. So workflow variable outcome. And if outcome equals nay, then I can go to, I can just end the workflow if I want. I'm probably not going to do that, but I'll change that later. Otherwise, go to second approval. So then in here, look at this. I can just copy this and paste it. Isn't that awesome? Copy and paste it. And then that way I can just quickly change this and I don't have to start all over every time. So instead of collab members for the second level of approval, it's going to be company administrator, whatever. So I can just change one quick thing in there, and I can still use my due date variable, because guess what? After this happens and it transfers to this next stage, it's going to do the calculation again. It's going to put a new value in the due date variable. Pretty cool, right? And it's just going to be based on the modified. So the modified date of this item, though, the item might not change. We got to think about that, though. The item might not be changing when this is happening. So we'll actually have to test that too, to see what exactly. Now, how do we test? A good way that I love testing this is to log. So I can just log do, and then just log what my variable is. So log like crazy, you know, especially when you're in testing phase. You can go back and take some of this out if you want later, just to make your workflow shorter and more efficient. But I'm going to log this in here. So do and due date. Cool. Oops, due date. All right. And then I can even do some, so I'll do some fancy stuff with some strings in a minute to be able to get some stuff out of that ISO formatted due date as well. I'm going to go create another stage in here, and I'm just going to call it completed for now. And I'm just creating the stage really so that that's the word that shows up in the workflow column when something runs. So I'm going to say it's done just for now, and then go to end of workflow. And then when this one, so if it equals nay, then it's going to go to the completed one. And then this one is going to have a variable as well. And then I can say, I can make this one do something different depending on if it's approved or rejected, like send an email, etc. So I'm going to say approved. And that's going to be like if the second one approves it, then it would go here. So if, I know I'm going kind of fast, so if the workflow variable outcome equals nay, then go to completed, otherwise go to approved. All right, and then for now, I'm just going to log something in here. Go to, I'll just go to completed. So they all have to have a go to in them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and publish that for now. And another thing that I have to do is I have to do the calculation of the thing they're purchasing. So that's why I built the whole product that you're purchasing and the cost and everything, because we're going to be calculating the total in our workflow. All right, so I went ahead to just go ahead and, you know, get that saved though. So right now, all it's going to do is go through an approval process, but it's not going to put anything in the, you know, it's not going to know the total or anything like that. So it's going to have, when I go to purchase a product, right now this isn't going to run because it's just set to manually run. I'm going to say, first of all, I need to hide this title. I don't need a title. I just need them to pick a product and what the quantity is. So it's going to be a pretty simple interface. So, but I didn't want to hide the title yet because I wanted to show you guys real quick how to do that in case you weren't aware. It's pretty simple. A lot of the times we don't need the title field. First of all, I'm going to change it to be not required. And then I'm going to go into advanced settings. This is one of those things that every time I show it, a lot of people know this trick, but every time I show it, a few people say, oh, that's awesome. That's a great trick. I always want to hide the title field. So then I go to the item content type and go to title and just choose hidden there. So now it's not going to be all confusing when they go to fill out a new item. It's just going to be what's the item and how many would you like that. And I'm going to go ahead and add a total field to this list just so that when the workflow calculates the total, it'll have somewhere to put that, that value. So I'll go ahead and go into here and add, I'm not going to make it a calculated field. I'm just going to make it currency. And there we go. Okay. All right. So the workflow, we don't want to just approve things. We want to calculate out things. So I'm going to add a new stage up here, do calculations and variables. There we go. Right. And my go-to after this one is going to be just go to first approval. Maybe, well, I might actually want to have a if a condition there too. So, all right. So do calculation is the action I'm going to use. Calculate what's, actually I need to refresh this because I remember I just added that total field. I typed in the chat window. Okay, so calculate what? Calculate the quantity times, now this is going to be interesting because I actually have to multiply it by a value in the other list. So that's why this is an advanced workflow, because I actually have to go reference the other list and get the actual cost of that item, because it's not, the cost doesn't exist in this list. So I'm going to go to the products list and find the cost where, which exact product do I want, where the ID is equal to the current item pick product. And that's my lookup value. So anytime you have a lookup field, you can use where the ID of that lookup field of the value in the other list is equal to whatever is your lookup field in this list. So you have that relationship between the two lists. So I'm going to get the cost from the products list where the ID of that specific product is equal to what product I've picked in my drop-down box. All right, and then I'm just gonna call this total. And then I'm going to go ahead and set that value. So, set total to whatever we've put, whatever we've done in the calculation. So now it will have a total. And then this is where I can say, depending on the total, that's where I can have this approval process. So let's say the total is, let's say, we can say like if the total, if, I'm just going to use the workflow variable. If the workflow variable total is greater than, let's say $100, greater than 100, and go to first approval. Otherwise, go to, I can say, what was it, approved? Let me see. What does it do in approved? Yeah, we'll just go to approved. Okay. Makes sense? All right, so it's calculating it, and then depending on the value, it's going to a different part of the workflow. And then after we do the first approval, we can actually do, you know, only if it's of a certain value does it need to even go to a second approval. So, you know, so we can customize it even further in here. So if, let's see, if they reject it, actually, let's go ahead and run it and just look at all that so far. Pretty cool, right? And just look at all what it's doing. And you guys shout out in the chat window any ideas of, you know, any specific things that you want this workflow to do in addition to what it's already doing. Corey, anything? You're muted.
Yes. No, I mean, so far it's good. They haven't. The chat room is being quiet.
Oh, okay. They somebody requested earlier that we do one of those utility actions like the substrings and stuff like that.
Oh,
so we can do something like extract the I don't know, the time out of there and say it's got to be due like tomorrow at, you know, 5 p.m. or something like that, you know. So I can show how to do that. I don't know. Just let me know if you think of something else. It's still public.
Business hours?
Oh, no, don't say that. We had a customer one time that needed all the approvals to be due only in business hours. That was a fun one. We actually bought Verto workflow activities. That was a third-party product that we purchased, and it puts a bunch of extra workflow activities into the SharePoint Designer workflows, and it's really, really cool. They've even got 2007, 2010, 2013. They've got all the different, you know, versions of SharePoint. And it was pretty cheap too, right?
Yeah, it's like $1,200.
Yeah.
So
VIRTO.
Yeah, if anybody looks into that, it's actually a really useful purchase.
Ariel says there are rule of thumb anyone uses to decide when to use a different stage versus combining actions within one stage. Ariel, I usually just use a different stage if I have to. If I have to do like a if this, go to this stage, you know, the go-to stuff, or if it's just a really long workflow that I really need to segment out just so I don't get lost in here, just, you know, to quickly find my way around and have labels on stuff. How about you, Corey?
Stages are very good for, I don't know if any of you code ever, but a lot of people are very bad at putting like comments in code so that you can actually go back in a month, a year, and actually remember what you did. Stages are very good for like separating out parts of a workflow just so that when you go back to it a year or two later, you can actually figure out what the heck you were doing.
Or if you're a contractor and the business needs to maybe figure it out later when you're gone.
Yeah.
So that would be polite. Right?
Yes. Yeah, it's not nice to leave people stranded.
Okay, here I go. Let's see. Yeah, there is a little action called comment, right? That you can add comments in there. So the logging will actually put it in the workflow history, but the comment action is just for you personally, just to type a bunch of comments as well. And I know you've done that in a lot of cases too.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to buy some letterhead, and I'm just going to buy 3 of those. And oh, I need to hide the total too, don't I? Because I added the total column, but then I didn't hide it. And I also need to get rid of this title so people don't see this no title thing. All right, so let me do those 2 things real quick. So I'm going to go to my item, content type, go to this SharePoint Designer. I mean, Office 365 has been pretty fast today, by the way. Hidden. And so now that's hidden. And now, so I have a couple of options of what I can do with the title. I can make it pretty, like I can make the workflow right to the title and make it say something nice there, descriptive, or I can just get rid of it from the view. So I'm just going to choose option 2 right now since I'm a little short on time. So I'm just going to get rid of title, and I'm just going to put my edit button there in case they need to edit it later. There we go. So that's going to be confusing though. If they click pick product, you're not actually looking at this item you're on, you're looking at the lookup to the picking of the product. So anyway, all right, so my workflow didn't run yet because I still have it set to manual, which I need to remember to change that. Start it when an item is created. But let me go over here and just manually run it. And go. It's going to get nice and confused. It was in the middle of publishing. All right, I had a customer just a couple of days ago that was they're on 2010, and they were doing a 2010 workflow with that annoying screen you have to go to click start when you're manually starting a workflow, even if you have no initiation variables or anything. So, and they didn't have info path. And so like you have to have info path if you want to customize what that form says. And they're like, oh my God, then users are going to be so confused about this. Like, so we just put a lot of verbiage in the email that the end users get so they'll know to click the start button. So, is there a way to export the comments of the workflow to a document or text? Ooh, I don't know. All I can think of is if you exported it to Visio, it might have that. So let's see if that ran. So this shows me what part of the workflow I'm in right now. It's suspended. Ooh, what did I do? Maybe it broke because, ooh, the value can't be read. Blah, 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 blah. What the? It's something about converting a value of an integer to a string. Frickin' hate these errors. They're so cryptic. That's one thing I really don't like about SharePoint Designer 2013 workflows is just the way this looks. It's such a mess. Yeah, so yeah, I wasn't really gonna do troubleshooting in this demo, but I guess I will be doing troubleshooting. So what I can do is, this could have happened because I was publishing a new version right when I was running it, but probably not. So what I can do is just Watch. Oh wait, watch this. Tab, delete, and then I can take this and move it down, and then see, it's just going to skip right over it. So it's never going to go to calculations and variables. So it looks like the calculations and variables is probably where it got hung up, but I'm going to go ahead and publish that and double check. And do. Yeah, tons of screenshots. Oh, I hate documenting workflows so much. It's just so painful. It's horrible. We had to do a big one, didn't we, Corey? That last project that we worked on right before we left Rackspace, we had a ton of stuff we had to document, and it's just so time consuming. There isn't just, hopefully there's a third party product out there that lets you document a SharePoint Designer workflow, just like spit out a report. That would be awesome, but don't think it exists.
The problem with even doing the screenshots is that some things are just so deep, like 2 or 3 menus deep, that you have to do screenshot after screenshot, or try to arrange things in such a way that you can take one screenshot of like every window. It's a royal pain.
Yeah. All right. So that one published. So let's go test it. I'm going to go back to my item, and all these little extra stuff y'all see here, the print and alert and run actions, that's all from this InfoWise Ultra Forms product that I have a test version of in here. It seems really awesome, and I started using it with one of my customers. But it's you know, I guess kind of like an info path replacement in a way. It doesn't have, kind of like, you know, Nintex and K2, they have those nice pretty interfaces where you are visually looking at the form and dragging stuff onto it. It doesn't have that, but it's got a ton of just all kinds of logic and stuff that you can do in there. And you can have, you know, nested, you know, relationships between multiple lists, and have the sub items showing in the item and all kinds of neat stuff. So I'm going to do another power hour is going to be based on that one. All right, so the first approval got assigned. So collab members got assigned. So it looks like the error with the workflow was with the calculations I was doing. Let me go and refresh this one more time. Let that be refreshing just in case. All right, and then this task gets assigned. Tasks in 2013 and regular lists are just so ugly. But this is where the pretty little buttons come in. So I would actually need to go remove the other task outcome from my custom content type. See those? I would have to go remove it, I guess, or maybe hide it so that it wouldn't show all these. I just want the yay or nay, right? So this person's going to approve it, and then it's going to go to the next person. So I'll refresh this. And it's still going. Oh, look, see, there's my little due date. So it is capturing a later time. Remember how I was worried about, you know, whether the modified date was just going to be the exact same on the 2 different tasks, or whether it was going to actually be different. So it is. So it looks like it is capturing a different time. Now here's my second task that got assigned. I'll go edit that and do my yay and approve it. And then we'll do the thing where we go into the content type and hide or get rid of that other column. And that's at the top level. See, advanced workflows just are so time consuming, especially when you start having to troubleshoot stuff you don't plan on troubleshooting. Okay, and we'll get rid of the out of the box task outcome. Just remove it like that. Or maybe hiding it would have done the same, would have done just as well. Okay, so that workflow is most likely completed. Let's figure out what the heck happened with this thing. So the way that I can do this is I can start, like this is a pretty simple action. I can just delete it and see if that's going to do the trick. But another thing that I can do is just, if I need to troubleshoot and rearrange things around, I can just, like, I'm just going to call this test. I'm going to take this action and just move it down out of the way. And that way I'm not, I can just move it back. I don't have to like delete stuff, delete my actions just to be able to do some testing. So I'm going to take this and of course my transition to stage, it's not going to let me delete that. So anyway, or it's not going to let me just like move it or something, whatever. Okay. And then I'm going to go to, and I'm just going to go to the end of the workflow right now. So I'm just going to do this multiplying the quantity, multiply by the cost, and then output it to total, which is a type of variable is that. It's a number. So maybe it needs to be an integer, but we'll see if that's where the problem lies, okay? The problem with this demo is that it takes so long to publish the workflow in between. I was teaching this at a conference where I even plugged into a network cable, but the network cable itself was not functioning because I thought I needed to, you know, I knew I need to be able to have faster speeds to be able to do all these demos, like for my workflow troubleshooting. And then I just had to stand up there and talk and talk and talk, like in between all the workflows publishing. So for some of it, I actually managed to do some screenshots and have some slides with just some screenshots of the different, you know, ways I was doing the workflow, as opposed to having to keep changing it and publishing it. It's a lot of work, right? So another thing that we can do is, and I wrote a blog post about this, about getting the extracting data information from a workflow, I believe is what my blog post was called. And it has to do with that little value we had. So let's just go look at that real quick while we're waiting for this workflow to publish. I'm going to go look at this workflow history real quick and show you. Okay, so I've got, this is the ISO formatted of the due date. So if we need to get information about a specific you know, date in here, what we can do is we can extract these just using like the little substring actions, where we can go in and get, you know, the first 4 characters to get the year, and get these 2 characters to get the month. And so like if you wanted something to be due tomorrow by 5 p.m. or something specific that's today plus 2, then you could actually do that by getting this part out and, you know, just adding a day to it, and then actually creating your own substring of like 050, you know, or whatever. What is 5 p.m.? 30. Ariel, you're in the military. What's 5 p.m.? I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
3 hours.
Yeah, so I would have to put 1700 hours in here with this weird syntax. All right, so it finished publishing. So let's go run this again. I'm just going to run it on the same item. Yep, he got it, 1700. All right, math. Okay, and go. Okay. I swear I clicked on that already. Yeah, so this other little product, the InfoWise thing, has these little custom actions you can create that are like business logic that are not the same as workflows. It's got some of the same concepts in there. So I'm going to just run it, and now all it has in the workflow, all it's going to do is that one first action, and we're going to see if that's where the problem is. Of course, I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes, you know, 10 minutes trying to figure out where the silly problem is. Oops, suspended. Okay, that is where the problem is, in that one action. Look at that. So it's probably the variable. So I'm going to do a new, I'm just going to create a new variable. So I'm going to call it new total, just so I don't get confused. I've just been burnt before by trying to change what type of variable the existing one is and all this mess, and it just gets so confused. See, look at that. It won't let me pick the other one I created. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So now I'm going to say set workflow variable. I'm going to say set my new total to the value. No, if it can't multiply it, if it can't come out with a value in the first place. Have you ever seen it do this, Corey? This is really weird. Calculate quantity by, oh, so I might have to spit each of these out to a variable. You know what I mean? Like set workflow variable quantity. Good grief. It's an integer to the value of the current item quantity.
Yeah, I might not like to just do it with actual things.
And folks, this is how we troubleshoot, because I've done this exact thing this exact way before multiple times, and now all of a sudden it's not working. So yeah, product costs, make that an integer too. I guess it wants integers to the value of the product cost, where the ID of that product is equal to the current item's product lookup. And it also could have to do with which one of those I picked. Okay, and then I'm going to move that down. I'm going to get rid of that. And then do calculation. What a pain in the butt. Calculate product cost by variable quantity. Yeah. Output to total, maybe. And the total, though, is a number. Huh. All right. I don't know. Sorry. Hopefully you guys let me know, is this troubleshooting helping? Do you guys come across things like this? Y'all type in the chat window. I know there are 113 members, and I don't know if everybody's logged in, but y'all type in the chat window and let me know if y'all come across this kind of thing. So I'm gonna, does this help in your troubleshooting because you don't know what all the cryptic error messages mean, and to be able to kind of narrow it down? Let's see. Oh, by the way, there's a newsfeed channel in my Slack thing if you guys want to. Oh, let's see. So we export the comments. Okay. Yeah, I added a newsfeed channel in here. If you want to join that, you can click the little plus next to channels in Slack and go join that one. It's like it keeps acting like it's publishing, and it's just taking so long. Corey, can you see my face now in here? Okay.
Yep, you're blurry, but we see.
All right, so we've got 6 minutes for this thing to actually work. All right, so what are some kind of things that you guys would want? We kind of walk through like what the different little conditions would need to be if you were going to have it go to different approvers according to different values. Does that sound like a common thing that you guys would be wanting to do? And another one's going to be integrating it together with the actual content approval. Does anybody use content approval? So it's another one to think about. All right, so I just killed the workflow. I know I'm not sharing my screen right now, but I'm going to go ahead and just do this while I'm talking because I'm doing the exact same thing I did a minute ago, and I'm just running it again and see if it errors out. Have you ever seen this happen too, where you're running? Ross says yes to both. Where you're testing a workflow so many times on just the same item that it ends up like erroring out on that item. And if you just try it on something else new and then it works fine. I've seen that happen once. That was very frustrating. All right, so it's suspended again. something about an int 32, the exact same thing. Oh my good Lord. How about we, what's another? So another thing we can do in the next few minutes is, instead of worrying about the calculations of the quantity and cost, I have no idea why that's not working. And the exact same thing has always worked before. But we have the part about the data extraction. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again and go ahead and take these actions out that I did. I'm just going to delete this whole thing, delete. All right, and then I'm going to do, sometimes it also has to do with me refreshing and adding columns as I'm in SharePoint Designer and refreshing SharePoint Designer. And sometimes if you just close SharePoint Designer and open it again, that fixes it, right, Corey? Mm-hmm. It just gets confused sometimes. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this before I forget, and I'm going to go get some substring actions. So this is another one of the advanced types of actions that you're going to have, is extracting the substring. So to get the year, I can go get just from the start of the string. So remember, let me go back over to here. We'll go look at the previous time that it ran, where it completed, and it had the, see, this is what the substring looks like. So the first 4 characters is the year. So I'm going to go get the first 4 characters from what, and that's going to be from the current item modified as ISO formatted. You have to pick ISO formatted, and then I'm going to say that's going to be the year. Right, and then I can say, if I want to, if the only thing that I want to change is like the time, like I said, I don't even have to separate the year from the month. I can just go grab this entire thing like this. So I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these. I'm going to get 8 characters instead, just to see. Oh, I can hear your sound, Corey. And then all I need to change is the time. So I'm going to get the first 8 characters, and then I'm going to have my, of when it was modified. And then I want to be able to say, I want that date plus 1 and then 5 p.m. So actually I'm going to have to get, add 2 days to the current item modified. So I'll do that. I'm going to move this down actually so it's right with here. So I'm going to add 2 days, and I'm going to spit it out to a variable. And then I'm going to get the first 8 characters out of that due date variable. How about that? I'm saving some time here. All right. First 8 characters out of that. And then I can call that year and month. Again, you guys can rewind this if you want to watch it later. I've got 1 minute. Okay, and then I'm going to set workflow variable. And I'm going to call it tomorrow. Let's see, like 2 days at 5 p.m. And I'm going to make that a string. So watch this. Then I'm going to go get my, what did I call it? Year month. Go get my year month. Do year month as a string. Yes. And then it's got the hyphen in it and everything. So then all I need to do is go 1700 hours. Oh, what was the syntax? So the syntax was, I have to put this little T set T16 for, so I have to do the little T in between the date and the time. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to create this substring that's going to have the full value of whatever it needs to be, like for your new one. And then that's going to become your very custom date. So it's going to be a string, but then I have to make it be a date so that I can use it as a due date. So then I have to do set workflow variable new due date. I don't have time to test this. Date and time variable as, and this is how I'm converting it, set it to, and then the value of this string variable that I just created called 2 days at 5 p.m. There you go. So then that's how I'm taking and creating my own little substring. I don't know if I got that right off the top of my head, but I'm creating it so that it's got the exact syntax of this. And then I'm setting the value of a date variable to that syntax that I've written. I got to put the little z on the end too, right? I got to put the seconds and the little z on the end. Anyway. So yeah. So what did y'all think? Oh, thanks for the error, Ariel, in the chat window. I'll have to go take a look at that. That's a new one. Let me stop sharing my screen. All right, so we talked about using variables. We talked about date variables. We talked about using the utility actions to extract the substring, and you can even get the, go read my blog post about how to extract the month and extract the day and all that into separate variables as well. So you can maybe use those to really configure a more custom date. And I showed you how to sort of translate a variable from being a string to being either a date or a number or whatever, just by saying, set this other variable to the value of this. And then we talked about how to make your approvals more custom by having using just this assign a task instead of starting a task process, so that you can have all these different portions of your workflow that are much more customized according to what the verbiage needs to be in the task and what needs to happen in between and things like that. And you can get more specific about what exactly happens when things get rejected. And like I said, you can do the calculations to say if it's over this date, etc. I've even done one that had if it's over a certain value, then you would make the due date, instead of adding 2 days, you would add 1 day. So that was another condition that I had in there. So you made it so that it was due sooner if it was according to a certain value. So cool. All right. Well, thanks guys for coming. Let's see, what's the topic next week? I don't even remember. Working on my blog post. Again, it's every Wednesday, 11 Central. And I'm looking it up. Let's see. Our topic next week is going to be, I have no idea. Power Hour schedule. There it is. Power BI. I get to learn Power BI between now and next week. Corey, you want to do that one? And go.
You learn Power BI or I do, one or the other.
Or I'll learn half of it and you learn the other half. All right, cool. Well, thanks everybody for coming, and we will see you next week. And again, every Wednesday, 11. Over and out.